arcs that fell flat. Thurman, this was your idea. Explain.
So, just like I said, many of our fans who know me in our videos, there's always that one arc in a manga that is just, among fans isn't well received as other arcs, right? Every manga is allowed one bad arc.
Mm-hmm.
It happens, One
we
Piece,
kind of brought it up
Hunter,
because we brought it up because of the recent My Hero arc. It was kind of controversial, and especially with us, we were just not feeling it, right?
Yeah. So this is me and Red, our discussion format of arcs that we thought fell flat in certain series. Now we're gonna start off with a golden big boy, basic bitch one. I don't believe so.
I'm concerned.
But
I'm concerned.
I don't believe so. I don't agree with this, but a lot of people didn't like the David Back fight from One Piece.
Yeah, what's up with fucking calling you out, Teching 101? Okay. By the way, I've said this multiple times, and I'll say it again. Teching owes me a favor. I'm going to keep that mysterious, but he does indeed owe me a favor. And when that shit gets cashed in, I'm hoping to get him on our channel, and when he's on our channel, I'm going to hit record, and the first question is going to be like, yo, what's with the Davy Back fight? Hey, bitch, stage is yours. Because that's the bullshit. Listen, man, that arc was just a great fucking, fuck around arc. Oda used to have this formula in the pre-time skip shit where it was serious arc, fun times, fuck around arc, etc., right? And he did this formula with it was Sky Island, Davy Back fight, Water 7 Annie's lobby, the Duval shit. You remember the Duval shit?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what he did, right? And so I liked the Davy Back fight personally because I always think back to the whole. I think there's some of the best Sanji Zoro rival moments are in that arc. Would you agree?
Yes. Oh my god.
Where Sanji's the ball. It was so great because Sanji's amazing at kicking, so they're like, you shouldn't be the ball, Sanji. It's just it would make so much sense for him to not be the ball, but because Zoro just refused, and then Nami was just like, I need to end this. Sanji, that ball would look great on you, and he's like, I'll do it!
David Back fight was fucking phenomenal. Man, I love that arc. It was Oda pulling a Sorachi doing full comedy with action. It was just a perfect blend.
And you can never beat Afro Luffy. And I promise, we will get to actual arcs that suck, but we're just going through, generally people hate this arc for some reason. They literally call it, filler. They're like, oh, it's like a filler. It's like a shitty filler. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck is wrong with you?
People call it a filler, bro. That's so funny. It's not even that bad of an arc.
It's so good. Do people hate fun?
They do, bro. We literally had to make a video about how people hate gag characters.
People hate fun. I want that. That's a shirt. Just people hate fun. Oh. No, I mean, it's real. It's really true, though. I mean, it's the same. I consider, if you're one of those people that don't like the Davy Back fight arc, you are the same level to me as those people that are like, I like My Hero Academia, but there's too much school life.
Oh, cringe.
Exactly. That was some shit King of Lightning said. He was just like, oh, I can't stand how between every arc there's all this school shit, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? The fuck's wrong with you?
This is so funny.
Listen, man, okay. I'm gonna put this out there yet again. Power to the people. You get us up there in subscribers where our voice matters. We'll be calling out prominent anime YouTubers left and right. In a joking, funny way, of course. We still like them, but I'd be calling them out. I'll be like, listen, anime YouTuber roast time. I need it. Anyway.
So...
What else? What other? Now, didn't you told me for you personally, you thought that One Piece's weakest arc was Thriller Bark, right?
No, I wouldn't say weakest arc. I just didn't. It was just boring to me.
Blasphemy.
There was a lot of good stuff in it, but it was one of those arcs that it really didn't fall flat.
All right, so
it wasn't
a
bad arc.
For you, why is that the case? Because I'm going to defend it because I love Thriller Bark.
It was just I do like Moria, but it was just, it was just a different thing. There are a lot of good stuff in that arc that I liked, but compared to compared to the arc before it, I would say it wasn't, it just didn't live up to me. Besides meeting Brooke, I really love Brooke's introduction when he fucking cut that spider in half while humming.
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't think every arc needs to be better than the next arc. That's what Dragon Ball Z tried to do, and you see where we are now. That's called the escalation problem. I think a good series needs to escalate and de-escalate regularly. Would you understand? You know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
So, like, essentially speaking, right? Because you can, if you only escalate, you're gonna get to like DBZ level shit where it's like it's gotta be bigger and bolder than every last arc. But like in reality, that's what's so great about what My Hero Academia does, right? You have your big serious shit, and then the author gives you time to calm down, and then back to the big serious shit. I loved Thriller Bark because it was kind of like sure, you know, Enies Lobby was nuts. I kind of liked just going back to the adventure format again. Like, yeah, there was a villain, but like. Thriller Bark, to me, represents kind of like what One Piece is all about, which is the adventure, right? Like, I love the adventure aspect of that series. I love just going, oh my god, a Halloween-themed island, let's do it, right? And it was just one of the most uniquely, aesthetically pleasing arcs of the series, and it has two of my favorite fights in the entire series, being the team fight versus Oars, and I still, to this day, think one of Usopp's best fights, Usopp versus Perona. That was prime Usopp. He pulled out everything. Do you remember? Not a lot of people remember that fight. I say go back and rewatch that fight. How much do you remember about that fight?
Oh, I remember all of it. It was a great fight.
That was the fight where like so much shit happened. Like she could go incorporeal, but she also couldn't hit people while she was in that form, so she had to try to trick Usopp into thinking that she could kill him. So you had that scene where she's like literally reaching through his body to like pretend to crush his heart, and then that was a fucking bullshit troll. And then you had him with the fucking like fake bugs and all the fucking antics with I think Kumadori. No, not Kumadori. Kumoshi, her fucking stuffed bear that was alive, and the fucking however many ton hammer, like scaring the shit out of her. That was just a prime Usopp fight. That was what an Usopp fight should be. And you had the slight return of Sogeking for like a couple seconds in that fight too. So I thought that arc was just a fucking blast and it was fun. But yeah, for me, if I had to pick weakest arc for One Piece for me, honestly, one that always just kind of blends into the background for me is Dressrosa. Like, there's good parts of Dressrosa, but the problem is it was just so long and drawn out that, like, I remember little bits of Dressrosa, but, like, as a whole, I think I remember the least about Dressrosa.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like Dressrosa.
Well, the second part is Dressrosa, like, if you're breaking down moments, it has phenomenal moments, like Sabo returning, the Doflamingo shit, the Admiral shit, you know, like, there's a lot of good stuff in Dressrosa. Law's flashback was phenomenal. But like it just as a whole, I think that one was a little meh. Because I will be honest, Dressrosa was kind of the moment in One Piece where I was like, there was a moment where, you know, when I was busy with like, I think I was still in high school at the time. I might have been junior year to senior year, and I was kind of like in and out of One Piece. I wasn't following it consistently, and I definitely at some point I think I dropped One Piece because the pacing was so slow, and I was just gonna I was like, oh, I'm gonna stop now and then read the rest later. So I think Dressrosa is less memorable for me because I just binged it. Like Dressrosa, like I think I read like 10 chapters in Dressrosa, and then I just waited until it was done and then binged the whole arc. So I think that's another reason why that arc is less memorable to me, because I didn't experience it on a week to week basis. So yeah. How about what other weak arcs are you thinking?
Okay, so I'm gonna do a new iteration. Black Clover's Witch's Force.
Say it one more time. You cut off.
Sorry, I sneezed. Black Clover's Witch's Force arc.
All right, so you're gonna have to take this one away because I don't know much about it.
So this arc had kind of like how Dressrosa had its good parts. It did have its good parts, but overall, this arc is where Tabata just was feeling lazy and was like, I'm just going to bullshit. Now, it doesn't have ass pulls per se, but it's just the arc felt boring. I didn't really care about Mars and Fauna that much. You know, it was an arc that he introduced characters that were from a light novel that we didn't know about.
That's crazy. Yeah, you've talked about that before. That's insane.
Like, people didn't like that. It was...
Well, go into more details on that. So, like, literally, like, according to what you're saying, there were characters in this arc that you had to read the light novel to understand who they were, correct?
Yes.
Like that's
They were
nuts.
introduced in they were light novel only characters until he put them in the actual like
story.
I'll spoil this for you because you're gonna read it regardless. Yeah, so you're gonna read it regardless. But basically, it was just 3 characters that just out of the blue was like, "Oh, hey, here's the 3 characters," and they were like, "Oh, hey, Asta, we know you. Remember, you're my teacher." I'm like, what?
And then it's just like fucking read the light novels. It has a translator note.
And yeah, they were even translated. That's the thing. Like, I didn't even know Black Clover had a light novel till this, So
did it was confuse the fuck out of you?
Yes, because they were like, because the guy who was introduced was Asta's master.
Ugh,
like he trained him.
That's that's so sloppy.
So I'm just like what? Like what? Why? Why Tabata Sensei? You write good stuff. Why do this?
So,
bro,
good.
It was at that point I knew that something like an editor was pointing a gun to this man's head. He's like,
yeah.
Better.
Any mistake that an author you like makes clearly wasn't their fault.
Bro, that's definitely an editor right there.
They can.
This man.
Do you think it was like one of those things where it's like we got to sell more light novel copies?
Probably, because I mean, I don't really see what the point of doing that is. Like Tabata doesn't give me the type of person who would do something that low and shady. So I have to assume that. Oh, I still have that. I have to assume that it was an editor's choice. Because honestly, it feels like kind of dumb for an author to do that type of stuff.
It does. You're right. Now, I was curious, when you first mentioned the idea for this video, you even mentioned Hunter x Hunter. So, is there an arc in Hunter x Hunter to you that falls flat?
To me, no, but to other people, they say Green Island.
Disgusting.
When a lot of people I talk to about Hunter x Hunter, they say they like every other arc but Green Island.
This disgusts me.
Like, they say it was boring, they say it was slow, they say it didn't really do much.
Stop it. What? Ugh. God.
I'm like Green Island wasn't really that bad. I mean, I
Green
enjoyed
Island
it.
Green Island wasn't not only not bad. Green Island was one of the best arcs. Like, he created an entire fucking card game and video game, and that shit felt phenomenal, and it was great and adventurous and amazing and integral to finding Jing and integral to finding Kite. Oh, that shit pisses me off.
Like I said, I had no issue with the arc at all. I'm gonna be honest.
Okay, if you think that, like, I'm guessing it's because you wanted more dark, gritty, blah blah blah, right? So like, you went right from the Phantom Troop arc to that. I'm sorry, things change. I've talked to people who fucking didn't like the Chimera Ant arc because the tone shift was too much. People don't like change, and I'm gonna be fucking savage right now. If you are someone who can't react well to change, you are a weaker-minded person. Period. End of story. Change is good, and different tones in a story keep that story fresh. That's what's so great about One Piece. Every island's a new tone. Every island's a new adventure. It feels different. So, like, I can't even fathom why you wouldn't like Green Island. Disgusting. You're not on my list.
Bro, he's going half 7 on it. Like I said, I mean, I have no issue with the arc, to be honest. I like the Gensuru stuff. I like the icon.
Great, bro. And like, I think the card system that they did in that entire fucking battle, or that entire arc, was really great, and how it how they I can't think of the word right now. How they put that into the battle system, and like how they battled slightly differently with the cards. Like, remember how Gon used like a bottle of gasoline as a card, and how the teleportation system through the game, and there's so many things. Like, it changed the rules of battle with those cards, but it still fit so perfectly into Nen, as well as I think some of the best training in Hunter x Hunter came from that arc. Bisky's training was fucking so fun to watch.
Yeah. Ooh. Oh, I fucking love that shit, actually. Especially when they use the scissors guy to help them train.
Yeah.
Hey, you're gonna help these 2 boys train. I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Never forget how good Bisky is, bro. That's why I'm so glad she's in this current arc. I cannot wait to see some Biscuit action. Let's see.
So, Red, besides mainstream, what manga have you read that you saw had a shitty arc?
Well, but like, how do you go outside of mainstream? Because honestly, it has to be long running, in order to really have
not One Piece and not Hunter x Hunter.
Let me see here. Oh, okay. So, okay, all right. I have an opinion. I'm not sure if anyone. I'm curious at what you'll feel about this, right? So in part, and I'm gonna keep it to part 1 Naruto because everyone thinks part 2 Naruto sucks, right? So in part 1 Naruto, there is a specific chunk of the story that I have always hated and found a dread to get through, and it is right from when Sasuke leaves the village to when Rock Lee fights Kinomaru, the bone dude, right? Everything in between that is disgustingly horrible. It's because everyone in the Sound 5 sucks and is incredibly boring. Do you feel me on this?
Oh, the Sasuke retrieval arc?
No, tell me the Sound 5. Do you remember them? Like, look them up if you need to.
I saw the anime version.
There's the flute spider dude. There's the fat dude that Choji fought. There's the weird two-headed dude that Neji fought.
The two-headed dude fought Kiba.
Oh, my bad. Neji was the spider dude. Yeah, you're right. Oh, you know what I mean, right? So those guys were so boring to me. And at least in the anime, looking back on it, it just felt like a lot of just them jumping through the trees. Oh, we almost got him, and now one guy's going to stay back, and while they fight, okay, we almost got him again. Oh, and another one's going to stay back. And the fights were just okay. The Sound 5 themselves, I thought, were incredibly boring. So all that shit until is it Kinomaru, or what's the bone dude's name again?
Kinomaru, yeah, you got it right.
When he popped out, and then that fight started kicking off, and drunk fist Rock Lee, then it was back to the glory. But like that little chunk with the Sound 5, I always found incredibly boring. And I gotta be honest, just from a pure character design standpoint, I think the Sound 5 as characters are very unesthetically, like they are not aesthetically pleasing. They are aesthetically unappealing to me. I think that they're all designed in a very like, I don't like any of them. They seem, if anything, you know what they look like? They look like fodder dudes that just were given a couple extra limbs, right? So it's like, all right, the spider guy was just some fodder Orochimaru dude who they gave some spider genes. The fucking same thing with all of them, right? Oh, here's a fodder fat guy. Here's a fodder guy we'll give him an extra head. They just looked like fodder fucking dudes that like Kishimoto was like, all right, it's a fodder guy, but he's a spider. You know, it's just, they felt boring to me, and I always hated the Sound 5. Good?
So I'm 50-50 on this one. This is probably younger me. From what I remember, I fairly enjoyed, because the reason why I kind of liked it so much, because you know how my big thing is with series that have multiple characters. I like a first series to branch out and give each character their limelight. I think that's probably one reason why I'm sort of biased towards the series, because I love Shikamaru's fighting. I love seeing Kiba and Choji.
Yeah, I love that too. I just think that the Sound 5 themselves are boring, you know?
Sounds like, besides the girl with the flute, I think the girl with the flute had the most personality, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because the thing is about that, and honestly, I'm giving that credit to Shikamaru as a character, because to fight Shikamaru, because the way Shikamaru fights, it takes brains. Mm-hmm. So, like, I think if it wasn't for Shikamaru fighting her, I feel like her character would have been boring. But because of her fight with Shikamaru, it made her more interesting as a character.
Yeah, they were just useless, bro. Like, everything about them is so stupid. Like, why would fucking Orochimaru send them to get his incredibly important next body for his revival? Like, why not send Kabuto or Kinomaru from the very beginning? Like, it's so stupid. Like, that's the best fucking henchman Orochimaru could get. God.
I'm a 50-50 on it, but I see what your point is, and I kind of agree.
Yeah.
But it was enjoyable for what it was.
At the end of the day, I've just always considered, when it comes to Part 1 Naruto, I think that's always been the most boring chunk of Part 1 Naruto to me.
Retrieval Sasuke arc.
Again, it depends on, like, like, I know it is the exact point. I can give you exact points. It is. Because I remember this very well. Like, it is insane to me how much I remember this, right? You remember? So Kakashi has his little talk with Sasuke, and then he, like, ties him to a tree. You remember?
Yeah, because Sasuke was pissed because Naruto was stronger than him at that time.
So Kakashi kind of shows up, mic drops on him, ties him to a tree, and then the Sound 5. So it's from that exact moment, right there, where the Sound 5 shows up, he leaves with them to Rock Lee fighting Kidomaru. It's literally from then to then, hate it, and everything else is great.
So, did you like the fact that the Sand Village 3 came? Like Gaara and them came to help him out.
Yeah,
did you like that?
It was good to see. If anything, it just like the redeeming part of that arc. If anything, was seeing more of the minor characters. Right. It kind of felt like. If you want to talk, like, people always say the Davy back shit felt like a filler. This is what felt like a filler to me. It felt like filler to give them more fights. Because they looked like fodder dudes.
That is actually hilarious. Yeah. That's fucking funny. So, the next one, let's see. I gotta look through my list here.
Oh, you got a list?
Yeah, this list of manga that I feel like kind of fell flat.
Oh, okay, well, while you're doing that, I'll just throw out the entire second half of Death Note.
Yeah, I was waiting for it.
I mean, it's just like... It's so like... all right, you look through your list while I'm saying this. So here's the thing with Death Note, right? Like, first half of Death Note, it's really subtle. It's really nuanced. It's really it doesn't go over the top, and like the whole point of it is like it's this mental battle, and it's like it's not going to rely on overly cringy action scenes. It's not going to rely on like, oh, look how cool I am with my posing, and it did not rely on what anime relied on. It was an example of action in part 1 of Death Note was a tennis match, but a tennis match where they're really analyzing each other. That's what Death Note was about. And then somehow in part 2, he took all of that like really incredible nuance and turned it into like characters went from like being really, really complex like L to I'm the chocolate guy. I have a chocolate bar and I eat it, and that's my character. I'm the guy that says delete when I write things in the Death Note. Delete. And then I'm the finger I'm L, but I have finger puppets. Look at me.
I remember that. That's so funny.
Delete.
I remember that. My cousin was watching that at my brother's house, and the dude at like the final part, he was just like outside. Delete.
It's like he forgot how to write humans, bro.
Bro, he sounded like the fucking nanobots from Jimmy Neutron.
Delete. Yeah, and then fucking Nier was just finger puppet L. It was awful. That just reeks of Light was supposed to win, and the editors were like, no. Yeah. I hate it.
Oh my god, that is fucking hilarious.
Could have just had Light win, bro. Like that would have been fucking interesting. Like, he becomes the god of the new world, alright? He can become like he's the main character, he wins, he's a god now. Boom. And GG. Now you fucked up. Although I do like the actual ending to the manga is cool, where he dies, but he ends up having a cult following and lives on, like, metaphorically speaking, because people legitimately do worship him as a god now. So it's like you got what you wanted, but you're dead, so you're not here to enjoy it, you know. Like any good god, you know, like it's the same thing, right? Like you know, like anyone that people worship as a god, it's only after they die, right? So like Jesus, you know, you can think about it all. It's basically, I think Buddha is the same way. I'm not too sure. Like, I'm sure someone will be like, oh, not this guy. He was worshipped as a god while he was alive. Whatever. You know, I guess you could say the North Korean royalty, they tend to be worshipped as gods while they're alive.
Okay, so I have one.
All right.
World Trigger.
Oh boy.
World Trigger. Now, World Trigger is known for its good arc, but this is just me personally. Now I think about it. This is one arc that I didn't like, where essentially it was two characters. It was basically, this arc felt like a differentiation from what World Trigger is used to. It was just like meh to me, right? Mm-hmm. Like the two characters that were introduced were okay at best. You know, they didn't really offer any quality. You know, the backstory for The backstory for the characters were meh, nothing true. Like, and then like the whole purpose of them was just boring, right? Like, I feel like you would agree with me if you read this arc.
I should get into World Trigger. I've heard interesting things about World Trigger. It's definitely been on my list for a long time.
It's just like this arc was just like it was just such a weird turn. Like, it's like if the author wanted to try something different and it didn't go well, in my opinion. Because it was just like the two characters introduced to it. I did like how he used his abilities, though. I did like that. But other than that, he was just like a very, edgy Sasuke, KA level character who just didn't, who needed to find, who at the very last minute was like, oh yeah, I'm going to decide to trust you now. I need your help. Which I guess is fine for character development, but it just didn't, he didn't feel like a decent enough character.
Yeah, I feel you. Okay, so I'm going to end off this video, unless you have one more, then you can go after me as well, but my last one is going to be the Fullbring arc in Bleach. And I think, because again, Bleach holds a very special, nostalgic place in my heart, and I have a lot of memories reading the Fullbring arc. I read Bleach. There was a point in my life where Bleach was the only manga I read weekly. Like, that was it, right? Like, that Bleach was my thing. And I read it weekly in high school. And I remember I had the pleasure of catching up right as they were going into the final battle with Aizen, right? So that was the end of the original Arrancar arc that, like, basically spanned, like, that was set up from the very beginning of the series. So, like, it was a good time to catch up. So I read through the entire final Aizen battle, and that was fucking crazy exciting, right? So as that arc was ending, it was huge because Kubo had been in this arc for almost 10 years, where it was the same main villain, right? So it felt like the end of an era. It was like their goal has been to beat Aizen for like 10 years, and then they beat Aizen, and it's like, okay, what the hell is the next arc going to be? Where could they possibly go from here? So there was a lot of hype. People were like, what's going to happen? What could possibly one-up Aizen, right? And what ended up happening was, see, like, what people liked about Bleach was the Soul Reapers, right? Like, Soul Reapers were great characters. It was a great concept. Zanpakuto were great, right? So Kubo decided to do an arc strictly set in the human world with no Soul Reapers and with a very shittily made power, right? So he introduces this new group called I don't even know, I'm fucking losing it, bro. It's like, how do you even explain this? He introduces this new group called the Fullbringers, and it's like one of the worst explained powers, because, like, to me, a lot of what makes a power fun and enjoyable in a series is, like, how much it makes sense, how cool it is, like, when Soul Reapers are explained, it's like, it makes sense, you have your Zanpakuto, that's how it works, it's a manifestation of your soul, and you gain power through meditating and connecting to that soul. Okay, cool, makes sense, right? But, like, Fullbringers were weird. It was like, okay, so if your mother was attacked by a hollow while you were in the womb, you get a little hollow power, and then you have to find an object and, like, resonate with that object well, and then if you resonate with that object well enough, you can kind of, like, do weird shit with it, but it'll never be consistent or make any fucking sense. It's not like Nen where they were like, oh, you make your power. No, it's just implied that it just happens depending on the object that you resonate with. So there was this one bitch that fucking her object was like these boots that she fucking got as a present when she was like from her parents, but then they got killed, and then her parents' blood splattered on the boots. So her power was dirty boots, and it was like, literally, you're not gonna believe this. Her power was the dirtier her boots were, the more powerful she was.
Bro, I remember.
Dirty boots.
Bro, I saw this arc in the anime. Bruh, I am dead.
This was Kubo's lowest point.
I am fucking dying.
Dirty boots.
Dirty.
And then you had one called Dollhouse where she could take shit and put it in her dollhouse. So it was like, so they kind of used her as like a training arc. Like, they used her power as like a hyperbolic time chamber where they could just kind of like, okay, put us in your dollhouse so we can train in here.
Bro, Red. I remember that part in that arc because after they kind of got Ichigo Fullbring, spoilers by the way, they how he cut them and gave him like a part of Ichigo.
Yeah.
like amp or whatever, bro. She had her fucking thing. She had a fucking mud thing on her back, like her fucking boots had like a mud thing,
like, and it just covers her boots. No, she had a motorcycle engine, I think.
Bro, oh my god!
You saw the better part of that arc too, because basically it's almost confirmed at this point that Kubo's editors were like, okay, everyone hates this, bring back the Soul Reapers, right? So about halfway through the arc, the Soul Reapers come back and just beat the shit out of the Fullbringers within like 3 chapters.
Yeah, like can Posse just cut this dude in half?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
oh yeah, so then that guy, what was his power again? It was something to do with like
time.
I'm trying to remember what he could do though. Like, was it like that's how unmemorable it was, you know? Like, Ginjo, like, but it made such little sense. Like they were so inconsistent. Like, one dude had like a fucking like, it was like Jackpot Knuckles, and like he had this thing on his fist, and it would like roll, and if he got good roll, then he would have good luck or some shit. And like Tsukishima was a bookmark, but the bookmark could turn into a sword, and the power of that was it's just a sword that could cut through anything. Well, how does that make sense? Where does that power stem from a bookmark? It was just a mess. Oh, and then you had Yukio, which was basically like he was just a carbon copy from that one dude from Yu Yu Hakusho.
Oh, which one?
The guy that could fucking make video games in reality or whatever, or like control.
Oh, I see.
He was one of the Sinsui's dudes, I think. Remind me.
Yeah. I remember. Well, who could like make the rule, make a territory?
Yeah. That literally just him. Anything else? Yeah. So it was a mess. It was just the only redeeming part of that arc was that Kubo went a more psychological route with it. So like what I liked about the best part about that arc was that Tsukishima, the main villain, he kind of like what he ended up doing was less like just being powerful like Aizen and more of just like psychologically tormenting Ichigo. And I did like that because essentially how Tsukishima's power worked was it was just a sword, but when he cut you, he could like there were some interesting, clever powers. It was just that like it didn't make sense how they had them, or the powers didn't make any sense to me. So like he could cut you, and he could like replace things in your history with him, right? So like he could go up to you and cut you and be like, "Oh, your dad? It wasn't your dad. It was me. I'm your dad now."
Yeah, bro.
So you like remember, and that was cool. I mean, it worked. But so like for example, like he went through shit that was like really big in the story. So like it was fucking hilarious because it was basically like a shitty fanfic. So like it was like, oh, Orihime and you know her because like literally like we're talking like one of the first chapters was Orihime's story in Bleach, like early days of Bleach. It was like about her brother and how important he was to her, and then Tsukishima's like, nope, I'm your brother now, and then there was Chad's flashback about how important his abuelo was to him, and you know he gave him this lucky coin. That was me, I did that. And then my favorite one was when it was like they're like Ichigo, because you know so he mind fucks him, he makes him like basically like all of his friends think that Tsukishima's like their best friend, right? So Ichigo's the only sane one. He's trying to kill Tsukishima, and they're all like, Ichigo, what's wrong with you? Tsukishima's our best friend. And one of my favorite parts is when Chad is like, Ichigo, I can't believe you. Don't you remember when Tsukishima fought by us side by side? We couldn't have defeated Aizen without him. And there's like this little flash of Tsukishima fighting Aizen.
Yeah, I saw that in the anime. I was like, wow, that's amazing.
It's so funny. No, I mean, it was that was the best part of the arc because he basically psychologically fucked Ichigo. He made all of his friends, his family, everyone turn against him, and that was great for sure. But it was just everything else was sloppy. The powers sucked. The characters were just introduced out of nowhere, and a lot of them didn't have an importance. It just. You know when you read like a Hunter x Hunter or a One Piece, everything feels like neatly wrapped up. Like when Oda introduces a character, you're like, oh, he's going to do something with that character. That's going to mean something. With Oda, or with Kubo, it's like he introduces a character and it's like, well, that didn't go anywhere. That didn't go anywhere. That made no sense. You know, like that was the problem with it.
Isn't Chad a Fullbringer?
Yeah. That was kind of the plot, the big plot of it. Like where did Chad get his powers from? And that was kind of the reveal, yeah. But it just... The whole Fullbring as a power system, like as Bleach readers, everyone hated it because Fullbring was just so uncool. It was like the most uncool power system ever.
That's actually so funny.
Well, it was just so roundabout, bro. Like, it was just so cringe. It felt like a fanfic power system, like one of those, like, trying way too hard, and therefore it was, like, not very usable in battle. Like, most of the powers were not usable in battle. Like, it was like, okay, how does one I can put you into my dollhouse in a battle? How does one... It's so weird, bro. Because, like, what I liked about early Bleach was, like, it was, like, you know, you have your very easy to understand stages. You have Shikai, Bankai, and then he introduced an even greater power system that I loved, where it was holification. You know, how do you gain more power? You break the bridge between the two creatures, and you kind of become like a middle thing. So holification, Vizards, or Ronkars, they're a bit more powerful than Soul Reapers because they break that bridge between the two creatures. And then that kept kind of naturally going up from there, right? It made sense. It was like, there was a very obvious power scaling of what's least powerful, what's most powerful. And then Kubo fucks it all up with Fullbring, and it makes no sense. Like, okay, where does this fall in power scaling? It was just so weird, and it didn't have any, like, consistency through it, and it bothered the fuck out of me.
Wow, that is crazy.
Do you have any final ones, or you want to end it off there?
None that I can think of, man. So, let us know in the comments below.
What are your most disappointing arcs? That's what I want to know. And I will say as a final thing, the more I look back, the more time passes, I'm not, like, angry about the Fullbring arc. It's an okay read, but I remember reading it weekly was torturous. Especially, like, you had some early chapters where, like, the highlight of the chapter would be, oh, this dude came over and brought Ichigo some ramen. Like, Kubo was really bad with pacing. So it's not, like, horrible, but reading it weekly was horrible, and there's definitely a lot of issues with it. So, yeah. But let us know your shit. Final thoughts, Thurman?
Have a good day.
Peace.